So The Falcon and the Winter Soldier just wrapped up its super short 6-episode run, but there's still a ton to process. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brandon and this is Film Flare, where we discuss anything and everything that makes film and television great. So be sure to subscribe and let's talk about a great show. It's been a few weeks since the finale to The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I still can't get over just how great that final episode was. First off, we get the definitive answer to perhaps the biggest question hanging over this show. Sharon Carter is in fact the power broker, and she was the one prediction I made that I was completely wrong about. When she first appeared in Madripoor in the 3rd episode, I thought she was just doing whatever it took for her to stay in the loop of things like a trained undercover operative would. At worst, I thought she had just started living in the gray area between both sides. I admitted that she was being a bit shady, but just chalked it up to her speech about being disillusioned with the whole hero business.
You know the whole hero thing is a joke, right? I mean, the way you gave up that shield deep down, you must know it's all hypocrisy.
And I figured when everything came down to the wire, she would end up on the right side of things, as you would expect of someone carrying her name. But then just before the final episode, she somehow got Batroc out of prison and sent him to go kill Sam. Now, to be honest, I don't really think that she actually believed he could do it. She just wanted someone in her debt to be close to Karli, and then she ended up not only killing Karli to keep her secret, but then also being rewarded by the US government for it and being given even greater access for her criminal empire. If there are future seasons of the show, and I really hope there are, I really want to see more of her and storylines revolving around the power broker. But let's get back to Karli and the Flag Smashers for a bit. There was a pandemic storyline that got cut from the show that would have made the Flag Smashers a lot more empathetic, and without it, the show just felt like it was going back and forth about whether the audience should like the group or not. Either way, I do think they tried way too hard to make Karli empathetic, even when she clearly went off the rails to the surprise of her own team.
This is the only language these people understand.
I still think that the organization as a whole was pushing for a righteous cause. They were really just fighting on behalf of the refugees who were being displaced because the governments of the world simply didn't want to put in the work to take care of everybody. It was the individual super soldiers we see on screen who were the problem. And even in them, it was mostly just Karli. Her team was clearly uncomfortable every time she brought up killing people.
Worst case scenario, we kill the hostages.
Although in the end, they did just end up being good little super soldiers and followed her orders. But I really do think that with a more level-headed leader, things would have ended very differently for the group. Imagine if Sam had actually managed to get through to Karli and then sided with the organization.
I agree with your fight. I just can't get with the way you're fighting it.
Especially given his speech at the end of the show. And given that final speech, I am a bit curious. If the GRC stopped their repatriation vote, stopped forcefully evicting refugees, and finally agreed to find a solution that helped everybody, did the Flag Smashers ultimately succeed in their goal? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. But of course, none of that matters for the Flag Smashers in the show because Zemo gets the last laugh. And speaking of Zemo, I absolutely loved him in the show. I didn't really think I needed to see more of him after Civil War, but this show gave the character a lot more depth and really made him enjoyable to watch. There's a night and day difference between this guy and the guy we see in Civil War who's just mad at the Avengers. And even if he didn't manage to just slip away after everything, he still managed to complete his mission as well, ridding the world of even more super soldiers. Now, I think he was okay with leaving Bucky because he recognized all of the good underneath the Winter Soldier programming.
They literally programmed you to kill.
And like he said at the end of episode 5, it wasn't personal.
I hold no grudges for what you thought you had to do.
And I don't think he ever knew about Walker having the serum, as the two of them never met after he took it. Marvel has mastered the art of making villains likable. They did it all throughout the show with the Flag Smashers, Zemo, and even John Walker. Now, I know people like to hate on Walker for obvious reasons, but once he gets past that arrogant "I'm Captain America" phase,
Do you know who I am?
he's actually a lot more tolerable. Walker's a good soldier and what I really think is a decent human being on the inside, even though he does have his flaws. And I think he had a pretty decent arc in the show, from him trying to fill Steve's shoes, to then going to the dark side after taking the serum, and then finding his way back to being more himself in the final episode with a bit of redemption as well. And Wyatt Russell absolutely nailed the portrayal in every single scene. He was easily the best actor in the series, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him as US Agent in the future.
We're not gonna need a Captain America. We're gonna need a US agent.
And on a side note, I do think that Battlestar deserved to die. Hear me out real quick. He had absolutely no business fighting against super soldiers. In their first encounter on the trucks, he has to be saved by Walker and then is just useless in every other fight. Then after getting beat by the Dora Milaje, regular humans who were just better than him, he immediately goes for round 3 against more enhanced super soldiers.
They weren't even super soldiers.
Bucky was a super soldier himself. Walker had the indestructible shield and then the serum at the end. Sam had been up against literal alien armies and still struggled against the Flag Smashers, having to rely on his experience and his tech to hang in the fight. But Lamar literally had nothing. The Flag Smashers did him a favor by just knocking him out and only tying him up. They weren't interested in him whatsoever, and he really should have just stayed out of that final fight. But on the opposite end, I would have liked to see a bit more of Torres. I'm gonna give him a pass on trying to fight a Flag Smasher because at that point, nobody really knew what they were capable of. I know the story isn't about him and they really just wanted to introduce the character, but I actually really kind of liked him in his sort of logistical officer between the government and Sam and Bucky. And then there was that nod to his character becoming the Falcon in the comics, and I'd really like to see more of him in the series' future.
Wait, yo, you forgot the wings.
Keep 'em.
And moving from the story's future to its past, let's talk about Isaiah Bradley for a minute. Now, Captain America's stories have always blended modern issues into their stories as well, and this show went pretty heavy on the Isaiah Bradley storyline and his relationship with the shield and the mantle of Captain America.
They will never let a black man be Captain America. And even if they did, no self-respecting black man would ever want to be.
The show tried to depict an honest image of what both Isaiah and Sam would really be going through in this sort of situation had it happened in the real world.
I'm a black man carrying the stars and stripes. What don't I understand?
It did feel a bit heavy-handed at times, but I do get why they felt it was important to put this in the show. And I like how he played a part in Sam finally understanding and accepting the mantle of Captain America while making it his own. And like he helps Sam, Sam helps Bucky finally get closure on the Winter Soldier chapter of his life and move forward from his past. It was great to see Bucky finish his list in rehabilitation. Not only that, but it looks like the world has finally moved on from his past as well, and it was also really nice to see Bucky finally be seen as a hero for the first time since World War II. All in all, this was a fun show and a really solid continuation of the Captain America story. There is all of the great action and heroics we've come to know, love, and expect from Marvel, but even better were all of the moments between the action where these characters were just being people and adjusting to all of the major changes that were happening in their lives. From new characters getting their introductions to old favorites returning to the screen. Everybody got really good arcs and stories in this surprisingly character-driven show. But what are your thoughts on The Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Let me know in the comments below. It's available now for binging on Disney Plus while we wait for the premiere of Loki. But before you go and watch that, please do be sure to give this a like and subscribe for more reviews like this. We've got new content coming out every Tuesdays and Thursdays. But until next time, have a great day and don't forget to watch a great show. Bye.